All right. So, I think we're live. Are we live? Yes, we are live. Wonderful. So, welcome to the stream, everybody. This week, the topic is about writing for percussion, which is going to be a really fun one. We're going to talk about three different approaches. We're going to talk about the traditional kind of orchestral sound. We're going to talk about writing for a drum kit, which is becoming more and more popular. And we will talk about more of a cinematic, epic kind of approach. So first off, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear my keyboard? Sounds like a choir. Let me know in the comments. Oh, we've already got a comment. Ricardo, next live stream, how not to suck. That would be the best topic for me. It doesn't matter what I do. My music always sounds bad. So I can sympathize. So welcome, Ricardo. Welcome, Brett. Awesome, you guys can hear me. So, Ricardo, you are offering me a wonderful opportunity, my friend, to advertise two things before we get started. One, my textbook. If you want to learn how not to suck, this textbook is the best resource out there. I'm just going to say it. 400 pages long. You can find the table of contents here, and it covers literally everything that you need to learn to be a professional composer. From the composing standpoint, there's like work-related stuff that you should probably learn, like business things. But this book is my greatest accomplishment, in my opinion. I sat down, I made a list of everything I would want to know if I had to start over. Every little thing I would want to learn, from writing melodies to chord progressions to making realistic performances with my computer. I made a list of every single thing, then I organized all of it, and then I wrote it as a book with my signature approach to teaching. So you can check out the table of contents. It's on my website. You can see it's got good reviews. You can get an ebook, which is on sale. Everything on my website is on sale 20% off throughout the entire month of August, because this is my birthday month, and I felt like celebrating. You can also click this link, which I'm not going to because I don't want to show you guys my personal information, but it'll take you to Amazon, where you can buy a physical copy of the book, which this is the copy I had for editing. It's not the actual, the actual one is actually binded like a nice book and stuff. But yeah, so that, and then another resource you can have to not suck is my free academy. If you haven't checked this out yet, I have over 270 videos on YouTube. Each of these classes are just basically organized playlists. This is all the videos on my channel that I would say you should read if you watch, if you want to learn everything you need to about functional harmony, and the order you should watch in them. They have homework assignments, recommended exercises, and additional blog posts and articles that I wrote to fill in the blanks. And I have one on harmony, melodic structure, instrumentation, and arranging. That's the end of the commercial, though. Yeah, that could be a fun topic, not to suck. So let's see here. So today we are talking about percussion, though. So here, as I said, I have a basic sketch that I've written for kind of like an epic choir arrangement. I figured we'll listen to this first, and then together I'm going to show you three different approaches I could take to add percussion. Some of them a bit more complex than others, some of them very simple. But we're going to focus just on basics, so the idea that you have strategies and tools so that you never have to feel like you're lost when doing percussion. But first things first, let's listen to what we got here. We'll start with just by listening. Then here is where we're going to have a nice, really cool percussion break, where we can just have a big, pounding, cinematic percussion section. But for now, let's fast forward. bombastic percussion section that we're going to write together. So there you have it. This is the quick choral arrangement I threw together right before this stream, and together we're going to learn 3 different ways we could apply percussion. So let's talk about the first one, orchestral percussion. This is more of a traditional approach. If you're thinking about like a John Williams approach, this is what he would do. Now, I have only about 5 instruments loaded. We can add more if we need to. The instruments used isn't necessarily the important part. There are some standard ones like timpani, bass drum, and cymbals are probably going to be used in almost every traditional orchestral arrangement. And by traditional, I mean that kind of stereotypical romantic era orchestra. Again, a very John Williams use of the orchestra. Now, to do this, sorry, I had to exit out. YouTube was saying it was about to start an ad break, and I don't like having ad breaks in the middle of my live streams. The traditional uses, 7 traditional uses for percussion with orchestra. It's very simple, all right? And you can remember it with the acronym DOES HBH. Doubling for color, ostinati, extreme dynamics. Sorry, my neck has got a bit of a crick in it today. I have a neck twitch that bothers me every once in a while. Solo statements. And then so that's DOES, DOES. And then we're going to say HBH. Highlighting, I cannot type today. Highlighting accents, builds and climaxes, and then the final one being harmonic support. Now, there are tons and tons of percussion instruments in the traditional orchestra. In fact, the percussion section is the single most largest section in an orchestra. Not through the number of players. Most orchestras will only have about like 2 to 4 percussion players, not including the timpani player, because the timpani is typically played by a dedicated person. They don't do the other percussion. But you can have basically anything that you can strike and produce sound, anything you can bow and produce sound, and basically anything that you can use to create sound can be used as a percussion instrument. Now, if you want to organize your approach, these are the 7 roles most likely to be used. So doubling for color, all this means is that essentially you're going to use a percussion instrument and it's going to double a part already being used. So if I were to take, it'd be a bit of an exaggeration, but if I were to take the tubular bells and I would say, all right, where's my melody? Tenors have my melody along with the sopranos in this first section. I was saying, all right, I just really, really like the sound of tubular bells. And I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to give it to the tubular bells. And then it's out of range for the instrument. So these 2 notes are too high, apparently. So you'd have to make some adjustments. But that's the first one, is just using percussion instruments to double the other instruments. Now, there are 2 reasons why you would double an instrument. One is to thicken the sound and or to change the color. So, in other words, you could say that maybe you have like a solo flute playing the melody, but you just don't think it's a thick, strong enough sound to actually stick out in the sound and to be balanced. Again, if you want to learn more about this, the class I would recommend, where you want to learn about, if you want to learn about balance in the orchestra, I recommend 2 things. 1, you can take this free class here, Fundamental Arranging Techniques, which will teach you a lot about just arranging and orchestrating in general. But number 2, I have an ebook called How to Balance the Modern Orchestra. So if you've ever been curious, like how many flutes does it take to balance 1 trumpet? Or if you want 1 French horn player and you want it to blend with 2 woodwinds and you want to know how to do that so that they sound good together live, this book will help out. But again, the textbook is probably the best. So that's another little ad for myself. But if you want to create a layer in your music and you need to add a little extra strength or prominence, you can double it in unison or octaves. Again, my free class covers all this in much more detail. The other option is you just like the color. Like that, I thought the tubular bells sounded pretty epic, actually. A lot better than I thought. I'm using Musio for this, and it looks like the range is pretty restricted. So I could probably try changing things around a bit. I have other larger libraries that can help extend this. Musio has libraries that can extend it. And also, I cannot confirm just yet well, I don't want to confirm just yet. But I will say this, if you have wanted to try out Musio and get your hands on this massive professional grade library for free, I would recommend you very strongly consider participating in the composing competition. Again, I cannot say anything just yet, but if you wanted to get your hand on this library for free, something you could try is entering my composing competition, which the clipped video in my channel, if you go to YouTube Tabletop Composer, you find the channel, the highlighted video on the channel is going to have all the rules for the competition. But so doubling for color, this is one example, all right, of something you can do. The next that you can use is ostinati, or in singular form, ostinato. And ostinato is a short, repetitive, rhythmic idea. Very frequently used for energy, very frequently used to help kind of like create a driving force. We're going to learn a lot more about writing ostinati in just a bit when we cover the cinematic approach to percussion. But if we were to do this, let's say that we were to decide that the snare drum is going to be doing an ostinato for this part. You could just say, where is this? All right, so we got C4 and D4, or like middle C, which in Cubase is actually C3. So let's say that we were just going to do just like 4 bars of 16th notes. And we wanted to say, all right, we're going to bring down the velocity on all of these. In fact, let's actually just do 1 bar. So it's a short repetitive idea. We'd say 16th notes. This is called timekeeping, where you just do a constant rhythm and you use velocity, or the strength with which a note is pressed, or the speed with which it is pressed, to create a pattern, which I did not compare to the melody, so I don't know if this is going to sound correct or not. But you can have a nice... And again, we're going to go into a lot more detail about creating interesting ideas in just a bit. But that's use number 2. Extreme dynamics happen to deal with the percussion section is single-handedly the loudest, most powerful section in the orchestra, and the softest, to be quite frank. Different instruments, because of the sheer variety of instruments, you can either use massive hits or soft atmospheres. So if you were to take like a massive bass drum and just bam, hit it, huge moments to create massive hits, massive sounds, you can take advantage of that huge dynamics. You can also do something much softer, like taking a violin bow and softly bowing a tubular bell, which creates a very creepy sound. Solo statements. This is very simple. This is just like any other instrument. You just want to feature an instrument. So maybe you give the melody to the xylophone. You want the xylophone to go crazy. Or maybe you've got a really talented jazz musician who specializes in marimba. And so you give them a moment to just kind of zone out and do something really, really cool. But you can, again, feature the instruments and give them their own little part. Then highlighting accents. I would say highlighting accents is one of the most important roles, one of the most common roles. In fact, these two right here are going to form the meat and potatoes of percussion in orchestral settings. Highlighting accents is using percussion to mark important notes and or beats. So if we were to say, all right, let's go into our melody again. We're going to use the tubular bells because I really like tubular bells. We're going to say, all right, let's listen to our melody. Which notes do we think are the most important? All right, so for me, just my instincts are telling me this one and this one. So I say these are important notes. So I'm going to copy them. I'm going to say the tubular bells are going to play these. And that's right, this is out of range for tubular bells up here. But you could also just say that you want to have the bass drum hit this first beat. I'm still getting used to Museo libraries. So let me see which notes are, so about middle C around that area. Oops. We're going to go with octaves here. So we want to just say beat 1 of the phrase is the most important. And then beat 1 of measure 3 tends to be important as well. Because remember, music follows a strong, weak pattern on nearly all levels. And then we say, all right, I just think this one's important too. And again, you just go through and you highlight which beats do you think need a little extra punch or a little more attention. So that is one tool. And then another one that is very common are builds and climaxes. So we're using drum rolls and hits to mark important moments. This can also be done in cymbals. So if we were to say that we wanted to have, the most common is to say, all right, we have a big moment. Beat 1. Beat 1 is going to be our big moment. We're going to have a big hit. And we're going to lead into that hit. We're going to build momentum and push the energy ahead by using can we do drum rolls here? Is this bass drum? Let's see here. All right, that's kind of cool. That's the sound of using a rubber tip mallet and dragging it around the head of the drum. It's a very cool sound. All right, so it sounds like B flat is the rolling number. All right, so we'll do B flat. We're going to go for the first 2 beats leading into it. We're going to use the rolling. We're going to use modulation to create an uphill swoop. We'll go to 128. Boom. Not the cleanest roll, but I just did it randomly. I, of course, want to experiment a little bit. But let's say that we're going to double that with the cymbals. So let's double check, see where are the cymbals here. What are the controls on here? So that's a crash. All right, so yeah, it looks like we'll do middle C and B flat below middle C. Do I have modulation data on here? Let's not do modulation. It doesn't seem modulation affects this library the way I would like it to, so let's do expression. And again, I would like a much stronger hit right on that crash, so let's raise it up there. But a very simple approach, very traditional. You get the idea, I hope. I'm going to be checking comments in just a moment, people. Don't worry. The last one is harmonic support, which is, again, similar to doubling for color, but it can be done on its own. Using pitched percussion to perform harmonic rolls. So whether that's one that I use a lot is using the marimbas for like rhythmic chords or arpeggios, things like that. So if you want a very simple approach to traditional romantic orchestra, this is something you can use. We're not going to explore it too much here just because I want to spend more time on the cinematic approach, which tends to be what people are most interested in. And that's what I wrote this piece for. You can tell it's a very cinematic, like big epic kind of sound. But if you are ever struggling to write for orchestra and you're trying to figure out how to use percussion, this is the process I would use. First, start by creating a list of instruments you can use. This is called your sound palette. It's not the only thing that makes up your sound palette, but it's part of it. Your sound palette is the choice of instruments that you are going to be working with. This is important to do ahead of time because applying restrictions or boundaries helps free you up creatively. It seems very counterintuitive, but it's just tends to be something that gets observed. This is the psychologist in me popping out. This is the dude who went to grad school for 6 years. Not grad school, but went to college for 6 years to be a therapist. We have found in the literature, time and time again, that the most creative ideas and inspiration come from scenarios that have applied limitations. Hans Zimmer talks about this. Hans Zimmer talks about how every film he starts, he applies rules. One of the most famous examples are being his score for Sherlock Holmes, where he said he put a rule, no classical music. It had been done so many times. Sherlock Holmes has been done so many times. He wanted to do something different. And so by putting that rule in place, no classical music, it forced him to think outside of the box and find a different sound, which now those soundtracks are iconic. So start by creating a list of different instruments you want to use. If you want a decent place to start, again, I hate to keep bringing it back to this, but the Academy, free classes, take my course on instrumentation. It covers the percussion section of the orchestra. So you'll get to know a good number of instruments. If you want more deep, like a deeper understanding of how to use them and such, again, check out my textbook. Everything's 20% off for the month of August since it's my birthday month. So yeah, and purchases help support the channel quite a bit. So then, where was I? Oh yeah, so start by creating a list of instruments you can use. Then, revisit each of the 7 rolls, one at a time, and listen to your music, creating a list of moments where you can use them. Now, you don't need to use every single one. You don't need to all right, well, now I found my doubling for color moments. Now I need to find my ostinato moments. You don't need to. This is more about a process of looking for inspiration. Of, again, applying limitations and restrictions and guidelines to help inspire inspiration. Inspire inspiration. That doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense. It's just lazy. So, listen to your music, again, from the top, and think, all right, are there any moments where I think the instruments could be, again, benefit from being doubled by a percussion instrument? Are there any moments where I feel like an ostinato would be playful on the snare drum? I will say the most common uses tend to be these 2. These will be the easiest ones that you can find. You can always find a moment where you need to highlight a quick beat. You need to emphasize a moment, the start of a phrase. You can use a big swell in the music to help improve it. You can help bring things down with the opposite direction. But yeah, go one by one, and these 7 rolls will each be quite helpful in terms of trying to get more of that traditional, like I said, romantic era orchestral sound. So, awesome. That concludes the orchestral percussion section. Next, we're going to go into the drum kit, which is a very, very easy one to write for, at least basics. It's very easy to write for the basics of drum kit. First, I'm going to take a quick break to read the comments, see what I'm missing up on, and see what people have to say. Wow, you guys are being active. All right, don't forget to like, by the way. Please like the stream. It helps quite a bit. Yep. All right, awesome, folks. Paul has entered the chat. Name for me. Okay, so awesome. People have anything. It's all right. Some self-deprecating humor. Never apologize for your music, people. And to reword and build climaxes to use a G instead of a B. Then it does HGH. Paul is sad that Halo got outvoted. Paul is my cousin. Paul is actually the one who gave me the idea to do the Halo video. But it will be happening. And there we go. So we're getting caught up on what they're going to be. Paul entering the competition. Yes. So, yep, Ricardo. Yep. Museo is a very cheap. The subscription is very cheap. Getting a perpetual license means you don't have to pay per subscription. So instead of paying $4 a month, so what is that? 12 times 4 is 48. Yeah, you save money for that. But they, I believe they're on sale, which is why they're $4. So they're usually like $10 a month or something. But they're really good libraries, people. Oh, welcome, Chip James. Yes, I recognize you. I'll go Chip James. What's up, mean? Let's see. Don't competition poll. Having the last name Berkmeyer sounds like a conflict of interest. Yes, yeah. So, yes, no. Paul will not be entering the contest. My instruments of choice: pan, bones, and shackles. There we go. All right, awesome. So, all right, so awesome. People are just having a good time. Thank you, people. They're having nice. The chat rate helps quite a bit. Looks like we're all good. As usual, if you have questions, let me know. If you're just joining, we just covered the 7 traditional roles of orchestral percussion, like traditional orchestra. We talked about each of them, what they do, and then we had a quick little process. Just start by creating a list of the instruments you can use, and then revisit each of these roles while listening to your music and look for moments of inspiration where each one can be used. Is it a perfect process? No. And a lot of percussionists will tell you that it needs to be much more instinctive, which ideally it would be. But if you are not a percussionist like me and you sometimes just need a little bit of a structure, this helps tremendously. So after that, the next one we're going to do is drum kit. Now, drum kit is significantly more straightforward. All right, so let's say we're starting here. Let's start with the drum kit in phrase 2. So we're going to go here. In fact, let's actually go towards the end. We'll add the drum kit at the very end. Now, the drum kit consists of many different instruments, but traditionally, a basic writing for, I'll say, basic drum kit will typically contain a snare drum. It will have a bass or kick drum. It will have a hi-hat and or ride cymbal. It will have toms. And then it will typically have like a splash or suspended cymbal. So we'll just say cymbal. These are the most typical that you're going to find. The ones we are going to be focused on for the most part are these 3. These 3, the snare drum, the bass/kick drum, and the hi-hat or ride cymbal, tend to be the most important. Now, the snare drum and the hi-hat are very straightforward. So let's figure this out first. This is the first time I've used this library for drum kit. So let's find out which instrument is which. So C2, toms, cymbal. We'll do, so F sharp below middle C is the one we'll use for the hi-hat. All right, so the hi-hats play a very specific role that we are going to refer to as timekeepers. Why can't I hear that? What's going on here? Was it... Why can't I hear it? What's going on here? Drum kit, right? So this is middle C. Alright, so it works. So we need it below middle C. Ooh. So that one's not working for some reason. There we go. So it was lower than I thought it was. Alright, so the timekeepers. Hi-hats. Let's go back here. Thank you for your patience. The hi-hat and or ride cymbal, typically just or, not and. I don't know why I said and. Will be timekeepers. They will play, for the most part, this is a basic approach, play a strict rhythm as a way to keep time. So a strict rhythm isn't like straight eighth notes or straight 16th notes, sometimes straight triplets, depending on what you're going for. But they're going to play a straight rhythm with the goal of creating a backdrop for all the other rhythms. Because this is a great strategy in general. If you have a bunch of different rhythmic ideas or a bunch of different melodies or a bunch of really cool things happening, especially in epic genres of music, having a strict rhythm playing in the background, almost like a metronome, helps provide a point of reference that can help you make sense of a lot of layers. It's a tremendously useful tool, and in kind of trailer music, this role is typically played by the strings. Sorry, skipping another ad that YouTube's trying to put in. So for the hi-hat, something we would do is we would start with, let's say, this is 90 BPM, I believe. Is it? Yep, 90 BPM. So let's start with 16th notes and see how that works. That sounds a bit fast. Maybe we'll try 8th notes. I like that a bit better. So what we'll do is let's create a 2-bar idea, because I like to work with 2-bar ideas, where we are going to, very simply, create a more personality-driven idea using velocity. And let's bring this one down. It's a very simple bum 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 bum. All right, super simple idea. We're just going to repeat this. So you want to create a strict rhythm. 8th notes, 16th notes, triplets, etc. It's up to you. But the idea is that you want to create just a background, something that can make sense of the rest. Let's experiment. What does this happen if we bring this down? Nuts. Don't know why there are toms on the other side, but just a hi-hat here. So then once we have our hi-hats, the next case is the snare drum, which will play the backbeat or weak beats. So again, since music tends to follow a pattern of strong, weak, again, you can read my textbook to learn more about that, or you can watch my classes. It'll explain that. In 4/4 time, beat 1 and beat 3 tend to be strong. Beats 2 and beat 4 tend to be weak. All that means is beats 1 and 3 tend to be emphasized just naturally, whereas beats 2 and beats 4 tend to be a little less emphasized. And the role of the snare drum, again in the most basic sense, is to play these weak beats. So where is the snare drum? Sorry, people. All right, it's the E below us. So then we're going to go just the weak beats. So 2 and 4. And we're going to create a little variation in this. We're just going to copy and paste. And we're going to create our weaker beats. All right? All right, starting to come together. So then, what we use the kick drum for, remember I said that these 3 are the most important. It plays the groove. All right, so the kick drum, while the snare drum 9 times out of 10 will always play the backbeat, while the hi-hat or ride cymbal will 9 times out of 10 always play the timekeepers. The bass kick and the bass/kick drum is where you get the personality. All right, the most common typically plays strong beats plus embellishments. So what I mean by this is we're going to start off with a very, very simple, just strong beats. Beats 1 and 3. So it looks like it's the C below. So we're going to go. And when we play this, you're going to recognize this beat very easily, because this is a very standard, basic bones rock beat. So if we take all this, copy and paste it. Right? Super simple, helps keep time. Where things get interesting is you can add little embellishments here to give it a bit more personality. Boom, boom, tch, boom, tch, and then we'll do a 16th note to add a little bit more personality. Let's do eighth notes instead of 16th. Since that sounded a bit off. And it's just that simple. So then the rest of these, once you've created this very, very simple little personality, is the toms and other instruments are used to help add fillers and more personality. So toms, again, cymbals, you can use those mostly for accents if there's a big moment that you want to hit. So let's say, I believe it was up here, wasn't it? Nope. Nope. Where was it? There we go. Right around there. We'll do A2. We'll say A2 is when we're going to smack the cymbal to highlight the start of that beat. And then we'll highlight the start of the next phrase as well. Super basic, super cheesy, nothing crazy. Obviously, you would want to spend significantly more time figuring this out. So something that you can use the toms for equals fills and embellishments. You can use it as a way to like transitioning between phrases. Very basic. Sorry, YouTube is just throwing ad after ad into the stream for some reason. Fills and embellishments, transition between phrases, stuff like that. So yeah, and then accents. So these are super, super basic. It's not going to sound super impressive with the choir, just because it's a very simple idea, but sounds pretty cheesy, actually. But it kind of works. All right, so you get the general idea. Drum kits are very easy to create basic grooves with. So like I said, I would say start with your basic groove and then start experimenting a little bit. If you have a percussionist and a drummer that you can work with, they're very helpful. They're much more intuitive, very talented and skilled. But in general, if you are ever stuck, you can always Google drum grooves for blank. All right, whatever genre you're writing in. Drum grooves tend to be standardized ever so slightly. There are specific grooves for jazz, specific grooves for salsa and other reggae. There's grooves for every kind of genre that you can think of. Again, start with something basic and then you can start embellishing. So again, these two, orchestral percussion and drum kit, are very, very simple kind of ideas. And so is cinematic percussion. But cinematic percussion is where we're going to have a little bit more fun with it today. Because again, this choir piece was written with epic percussion in mind. Before I move on, though, again, I'm going to check the comments. Anybody got any questions here? Mr. Spook. Oh, Mr. Spook is here. 23 is here. Welcome, people. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see here. Welcome, Matt. Don't seem to be so thrilled for me entering. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Don't forget the cowbell. All right, excellent. I don't even know how to use common drums, but I'm still trying to get around Keep Force Berserker drums. Yes, there are a lot of crazy drum libraries out there. All right, awesome. And Matt advertising for Chip James. All right, so wonderful. So the last strategy we're going to cover today is the one, like I said, lots of people tend to be excited about, which is cinematic percussion. Cinematic or epic percussion. Cinematic/epic percussion tends to have two basic roles. Timekeepers/rhythm, which are going to be in mostly toms and similar instruments. Toms, sticks, etc. And then hits, which are going to be your accents, which will be typically played by deep drums. All right, super simple, super basic tenets again. We're not talking about advanced things today. We're not worried about advanced things. We're trying to figure things out that just sound passable and function. So we're going to start with the hits. So let's do big hits. We'll start here. All we're going to do is we're going to go through our 8-bar phrase, and we are going to add a hit when we think it fits. So again, you're going to look for important beats. So for this one, let's see, what is our keyboard range? Oh, wow, we got a lot of them. We'll do the C, the E, above and below middle C is what we'll go with. So let's actually just listen to this, shall we? Let's record on here. We'll put on a metronome. And remember, all we're doing is we are listening to the music and we are looking for moments that we want to highlight. All right, so there we go. We've got our basic idea. I'm going to quantize everything. Quantize just means you go to the shortest value, and everything is going to get snapped. Let's see. Is the shortest value an eighth note? Yeah, it is. So that one needs to be dragged over a little bit. Let's bring these each over here. Or let's see, let's play this a bit. And this one was supposed to be over here. And then this one is over here. So we're just cleaning up a little bit. There we go. So now we've got our hits. And I'm going to take this very basic rhythm. I'm just going to bring it into the other deeps. Let's put it in the taikos. So hits are typically, like I said, you can have a name like a here, where some libraries are just very specific. They're big ensemble, big drums and crashes. You can have hybrid, swooshes, things like that. But typically, it's going to be deeper drums. Some libraries will say specifically that they use heavy hits or huge hits. You can also use the bass drum, and a very common one again is taikos. So we're going to add this to the taikos. Let's see how it sounds. So apparently that's not the right note to put it on. So let's see what our options are for the taikos. So let's just do C. We'll do C across multiple octaves. We'll do that. We'll go here. We will raise it an octave. Raise it an octave. And then when we play it all together. And then all we're going to do is we're going to repeat this rhythmic idea, and in the next phrase we will add some timekeepers, which is the second half of basic, bare bones, epic percussion. Before I do that, let me make sure any comments. People just having a good time still. I got no clue on cinematic drums. This is what I'm here for. Awesome. So people are here for cinematic drums. But welcome, Pierre. It's going pretty well. We've covered traditional orchestral percussion. We've covered basics of doing drum kits. And now we are doing cinematic percussion. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No worries, Monster Explorers. I'm going to have all my streams get saved and put up as videos afterwards. So if you can't make it, you can always rewatch it. So if you're just joining us, cinematic or epic percussion has two basic elements. The first that we just did are hits. These are your accents. They're going to move slower, and they are going to emphasize just important beats. So you can do something like this where it's a little more rhythmic, where I'm hitting basically the start of every measure. You can also do it much, much more sparingly. What you want to think of these as is just moments where you want a little boom, emphasis on the notes that are being played elsewhere in the music. The timekeepers, which is number 2, is going to be a little more strict. In terms of, if you want to play a timekeeper role, it's going to be like the hi-hat from the drum kit. We want a constant rhythm. So let's go to the toms. We're doing toms 1, which is usually performed by the toms and sticks and other instruments. So we'll do around middle C. We're going to add it in here. We're going to go with a 2-measure idea. We will do 16th notes. And we're going to go, let's see here. We're going to go bum da 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 da. And then you can, so 2 ways you can do this. You can either use sentence structure, like I've done in a lot of different things, where you can come up with a 2-bar idea, just random rhythms and emphasize it. You can also just sing along. Singing along helps out. We're like and just find out where you find those natural things. Let's see here. So we'll do this one, and then I'm just gonna repeat this idea. I'm going to increase the velocity of these. I'm going to decrease the velocity of everything in general. And then we are going to simply take every other one, since it sounds like there is a right hand and left hand. We're going to highlight every other note. We're just going to move it up to take advantage of the left and right. And then let's take these stronger notes. Let's highlight them a little bit more. Increase the velocity a little bit. Then we're just going to copy and paste. And then we are going to simply spread this out across a couple other toms. So let's see if this works down here. Let's bring this down here. Yeah, I like that. So we got 3 toms. So if we go with all of the hits, see how that works? And of course, obviously, these sound pretty machine gunny. They sound pretty inhuman. You would probably want to go in and actually play it. I'm not very good at playing rhythmic ideas. So you'd want to go through, you'd want to actually fix it up a bit. Make it sound more human by adding a bit more original ideas. So great way is once you have an idea what you want, to play along with it. So I would say like, all right, so now I'm following along with these. Like I told you, I'm terrible at this. But yeah, you just make it a bit more human, make a little bit of changes here and there. But the general premise works very well. If you have these 2 elements, one are your big hits. They're a little slower. They focus on hitting just the important beats, the moments where you want a bit of a boost. These are like the driving rhythmic ideas. And then the next, which is typically in like the toms and sticks, and like I said, other higher, lighter sounds, is a constant rhythm. Whether that's 8th notes, 16th notes, triplets, whatever it is, it's a constant short rhythm that you use velocity to create a little more interesting rhythmic idea with. Now, of course, once you start with these basics, you can start experimenting. Maybe you decide that you wanted to add a couple of 30-second notes here and there. So let's say you're with this library. You decide you wanted to go. So then maybe you wanted to just do a couple of 30-second notes. And I kind of like that, actually, where you add like a little bit of a faster notes here and there. But you want to start with the basics. Start with a very basic idea. Start with your timekeepers, and then you can just start throwing in more personal ideas. In fact, I like that quite a bit, so I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to get rid of that. And we just, again, 2-bar idea. You don't need these to be super interesting unless it's a percussion-driven piece like Mad Max, Fury Road. You just need something to be the background and build energy. Super simple, nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. You just have the basic elements. If you have those, again, timekeepers are typically toms, sticks, etc. Deep drums, taikos, hits is what they're often called in sound libraries, what have you. There we go. Let's see here. First time catching a live stream. Love all your videos. Okay, so yeah, Ripa. First time catching a live stream. Love all of your videos. Love, though, amazing work. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Ricardo, what's your recommendation to learn about different kinds of drums and cinematic category that they fit in? For example, war drums, frame drums. Okay, so this, I'm going to offer, because I don't have a lot of books about percussion, I am going to offer the cheapest, possibly controversial tool for learning about this kind of stuff. ChatGPT. Composers, ChatGPT can be a wonderful, wonderful tool. All AI can be a wonderful, wonderful tool. This can be a bit controversial being an artist, because of course there's always the fear that technology is going to take our work away from us. I am of the opinion that it will not. I would never say use AI to write your music, but it can be very, very useful. You can treat ChatGPT like a chance to talk to someone more knowledgeable than yourself. All right? I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying this is the way you can do it. So you say, I want to learn about cinematic percussion. So, Rob, what was your question? You're saying, what kind of drums are typically used in epic music? And what categories do they each fit in? And then we'll just put in your things. What was it? I said war drums, e.g. war drums, frame drums, etc. Hit search. And you get an answer. Now, they're not always going to be perfectly accurate. They're not always going to be the best answers, but they give you a direction. And again, if you teach it like a chance to work with a music teacher, you can ask follow-up questions. I don't see any reason not to use AI as a way to look for information in learning how to compose. Where it gets tricky is when you try to use it to compose for you. It's like, hey, I need a chord progression. Can you just give me a chord progression? Or I need an idea for a melody based in this key. Can you give me that? No, that's kind of cheating. But if you're trying to learn, look, it just gave us 10 categories. Taiko drums, category war drums, and a description. Bass drums, frame drums, djembe, snare drums, toms, congas and bongos, surdo, cajon, or cajong, however you pronounce it. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Timpani, snare drums, and war drums. There are lots of things you can do. That's what I would recommend if you're just getting started. Other than that, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of resources. Most of what I learned for orchestral and drum kit, I learned that through reading different like basic things on orchestration. Cinematic percussion, I learned from masterthescore.com. Oops, one second, gotta stop it. All right, sorry, YouTube is gonna say that. So, Master the Score. This is a website. They used to have an affiliate program where I could get free classes as long as I did reviews of the classes. Those reviews are still up, but the affiliate program is unfortunately no longer a thing. This class, Hybrid Orchestral Composition, is where I learned a lot about the epic music and the genres and stuff. If you want to see my review of it, you can watch that. It's on the channel somewhere. I think it's a good class. I learned a lot from it. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of books or resources I could refer. Other than that, that's what I would recommend. Let's see here. What's your recommendation to learn about different kinds? Okay, so Word. I'm a software developer, so I'm fine with this. Okay, awesome. So you're just fine with it, yeah. Well, so Tamashi asks, what is your strategy for writing a timed piece, like writing a piece of 90 seconds and making sure it doesn't go beyond that time limit? Excellent question, Tamashi. I have no idea what you're writing that needs to be only 90 seconds long. I'm joking. I think you're entering the competition. So timing your pieces. A very simple equation. How many beats per, or how many, let's see, so there are 60,000 milliseconds per minute, right? So you take 60,000, divide it by your beats per minute, and you get how many milliseconds per beat. So let's say you got 90 minutes, all right? 90 seconds equals 90,000 milliseconds. So then you want to say, all right, I have 90,000 milliseconds. Let's say you are going to do you want to do a 32 bar piece of music. That's two 16 bar sections. So 32 bars at 4 time. Equals, all right, I'm terrible at math. I'm actually surprised I got as far as I did. So let's bring out the calculator, shall we? So you got 32 bars. They're each 4 beats long. You have 128 beats. So 128 beats, you have 90 seconds. So you take 90,000, you divide it by 128 beats total. I'm doing this wrong. How do I do this? Let's see here. So it's 32 bars, 4 beats. You have 60 milliseconds per second. See, this is where I really show myself for being stupid with math. I will say, because you're putting me on the spot here, if you've got someone who's better at math in the comments, all right, someone who's way better at math than me, especially on the spot. For whatever reason, I get even worse at math when I have to do it in front of an audience. The idea, 60,000 milliseconds per minute. If you had 32 bars and you had to find out what the BPM was, let's say, so you find so 60,000 by BPM equals milliseconds per beat. You could just find a BPM. You can use this to find a BPM for your for the length of time that you have. Now, if you want to see that I actually do know the math, I just tend to panic. I have math panic when I have to do. It probably has something to do with when I was a kid and had to do the speed test or something. I tend to get anxiety for whatever reason whenever I have to do math live, and it messes me up and just reinforces the idea that I'm stupid with math. So it's a vicious cycle. This one right here, my composing workflow for $4 currently because everything's on sale, has my has the math. So let's see here, 5 minutes. Let's look this up. Where is it? I have my lab composing process. Is this it? Oh yeah. So this is the document you get. Plan your structure. What is your tempo? How much structure should I use? How many times the themes? So here we go. Here's the equation. Beats per minute times, so you'll start by picking a tempo and multiplying it by 5. So that'd be 1.5 minutes. So you'd take your BPM, multiply it by 1.5, and that's the total number of beats your piece needs to have. Then you can divide that by 4. And so yeah, this is the whole process that you can follow. I'll leave this up for a little bit while you guys talk so you can write it down so you don't have to buy it if you don't want to. But it's $4. You want to show support, go buy. You'll get this whole document as a PDF. Let's see. Was anyone better at math than me? Tamashi, another question. You've heard my music. It lacks form, doesn't it? I don't think so. I've never really heard it. Some of your earlier pieces, maybe, when you were just getting started, but your latest pieces have been doing pretty well. Form and structure. So people who don't know, I do monthly live feedback. So if you are new to the channel, the last stream of every month tends to be live feedback. I will put out an announcement, a week beforehand saying, hey, here's the instructions, here's the guidelines, submit your music, and I will listen to it on a live stream and give you free feedback live. So that's what Tamashi is talking about here. Thank you, Paul. Oh, good. So there's a lot of people who don't do math very well. So yeah, if you want to follow this, again, write this down. I'll leave it up for a little bit longer. This is how you figure it out. But yeah, Tamashi, I don't think your music lacks form. I think it works pretty well. It might not follow traditional forms like rondo form or sonata form, but lots of my music doesn't either. Again, if you want to learn more about form, I would say again, you can purchase my textbook. My textbook has a whole chapter about form that goes more in depth than the class does. But this class right here, Melodic Structure and Form, covers form. So if you're insecure about that or worried about that, that's something you can do. So let's see here. This brings us to the hour marker point. I had originally planned on adding percussion for this entire thing. I wasn't expecting this to take an hour to explain though, especially since they're such simple concepts. So unfortunately, I do have things that I need to do for the rest of the day. So I think I'll stay on for a little longer if people have questions. But I'm probably going to be signing off within the next 10, 15 minutes or so. So if you have questions, ideas, suggestions, requests, I have a very big channel. I've been doing not big in terms of like numbers of subscribers, but I have very big in terms of number of videos. If you have topics that you want to know if I've covered, feel free to ask that too. If you're looking to learn something, you want to try something, I am going to use this moment again to advertise for the competition. I have a couple of very generous the sponsors that I am going to be announcing soon. But if you want to learn, if you want to have a chance at getting some cool free libraries, these are live streams. These are for me. Where is it? On the channel, go to videos. It's here somewhere. Right here, tabletop music comp. You can watch this one. I'm not wearing glasses in it because my glasses had terrible glare while I was recording. You can watch it. It's a 5-minute video. It'll give you all the rules, all the breakdown, how to submit. And yeah, so do the competition. Submissions are due in 10 days. It's only 90 seconds of music. You guys have seen me write more music than that. In like my live stream, I did 5 minutes of music in one live stream. You can do 90 seconds like that, and you have a chance to win some really cool libraries. What about a drum-focused epic music? I've seen some on YouTube. Yes! So, drum-focused epic music is built mostly from the cinematic percussion, but there's a lot more structure to it. So if you wanted to take this basic idea of hits and timekeepers, you could add a third level with like a rhythm, where you can think of it almost like a melody, where you can use other percussion to add it in. If you wanted to create more focus, it's just a matter of making it more melodic. And by melodic, I mean, where's my notepad? To create more percussive focused pieces, we're going to say, follow the basic premise for cinematic percussion. And for your layers, apply a little more structure to your rhythms. They need to be made more melodic. Now, when I say something needs to be made more melodic, I mean it develops over time. It's not entirely repetitive. So you can think about sentence structure. You can think about period structure. You can think about sequencing structure. 3 structures that I talked about last week's live stream. Very simple ideas. If you want to watch an edited version of the live stream, where it's just the important kind of lesson parts, you guys probably saw this already. It's going to be going live next week. Where is it? Videos. But for channel members can watch it now. This video right here, it took like an hour and a half long stream. I edited it down to just the lessons. You can watch it now. You can learn all you need to write melodies easily. But you're basically just going to apply a bit more structure, treat the percussive layers like actual melodies, and you can get a lot more mileage out of it. Paul, make a Halo type song or sound. No, not right now. I have a choir thing up here. So if you guys heard it, this piece was originally written, the idea that I was going to do a whole percussion part for it, but the stream, I kind of ran out of time in the stream, unfortunately. But I do love writing for choir. So, not that this is Halo style at all, but I do love choir. Let's see here. What other questions we got? All right, 23, 10 days. I haven't even started yet. Better guess. Yes, get started. Make your submissions. People are submitting already. So get your music submitted. Like I said, you've got nothing to lose. It's a free competition to participate in. You get a chance at winning some really cool libraries, and you get to have your music shared. It gives you a reason to write. Everyone who participated last time said that they had a blast. That was the general consensus. People had a lot of fun. They enjoyed having a reason to write and not just writing for fun. So participate. You got nothing to lose. Tomashi, have you ever participated in a composing competition? Yes, I have participated in a lot of competitions. I have never once won. Not once. So that is something I will say. I had a mentor of mine who gave me very good advice once, where he looked over my music. He said, this is a very well-written piece. This is a very good piece of music. He's like, I want you to understand that competitions aren't about the music. They're about the judge. All right, so the judge, regardless of whether they have an agenda or not, the judge has a taste in music. They have a preference. They have things they like. And if you don't get chosen to win a competition, that doesn't mean your music was bad. That doesn't mean you are not a talented composer. That doesn't mean any of that. It just means that the judge has preferences. And in many cases, it's an opportunity for them to showcase what they value in a competition. I have applied for so many competitions. I've applied for positions and jobs and gigs and never heard back in many cases. Because again, there are certain stances that people take just on what they believe is valued. So don't worry about it. I'd say enter. It's a great opportunity. You always learn. You always grow in a competition. To go for it. 23, I was honestly considering writing a drum-only track for the competition. That's why I requested this topic. Oh, smart. Yes, that would be really cool. It'd be tricky, but it'd be cool if you could justify it. Because don't forget, justifying your decisions is part of the competition. This competition is designed in a way to emulate what it's like working with a director. All right, so here we go. Tamashi, how is the Attack on Titan video coming along? It's coming along as in all I know is I need to do it now. So the voters have decided the next tutorial will be an Attack on Titan tutorial. So I need to start analyzing and studying the music and designing a template. So it'll probably be minimum 3-4 weeks before that tutorial is put together, unfortunately. Because I've got to study the music, I got to create the tutorial of the template, and then I got to find out how to teach it. But it is coming. It is coming. Let's see. Yeah, it's a daunting one. I'm making a rap beat. All right, I will listen to it, Paul. But we're related, so Paul is my cousin. You can't win. That's something I've told. I've got a lot of people in my family. Surprisingly, Paul's not one of them, who love writing music. And unfortunately, I've told all of them that they can't be part of the competition. It'd be a conflict of interest. But welcome. You're welcome to submit something. I will listen to it. Yeah, I think we'll call it here. So thank you, everyone who stopped by. Don't forget, check out my website, check out the textbook. It is an amazing resource. I am very proud of it. Check out my book on portraying emotions with music as well. I've got lots of really cool resources. Everything is 20% off on my website throughout the month of August. So thank you again to everyone who stopped by. I had a lot of fun, and I'll probably see you next week. So keep an eye out on Instagram and YouTube for announcements on because I'm going to be looking for a topic for next week as well as cool announcements for the competition. So have a good one. I'll see you guys next week, and thank you for stopping by the stream. Bye-bye.